friends, how are you? I hope that you're very well. I know it's been a while since I've done a video. Basically, I've started back at work in a new job full-time and it's just taken me a while to kind of get used to everything. So I'm back. But anyway, so today I wanted to talk about the recent allegations against Alice Ripley and the conversation that's been started around fan and performer relationships in theatre. I wanted to give a very quick trigger warning. In this video, I will be talking about grooming and inappropriate relationships between adults and children. So if that is something that you might find triggering, this video might not be for you. I will censor as much as I can as well. I have been very hesitant to talk about this topic. I don't think it's my place to speak on anyone else's experiences, and I think that the accusers have and are still doing a great job at speaking for themselves, having a pretty wide reach with their stories, and doing that in a way that they feel most comfortable with. So rather than speaking kind of about their individual experiences, I really want to talk about the culture around fan and performer relationships and the issue that there has been and currently still is. I will give a brief rundown of everything that's happened for anyone who might not have seen. So basically, a few weeks ago, a girl posted a TikTok accusing Alice Ripley, most known for her role in Next to Normal, of grooming her since the age of 12. Since that video, lots of people have come out with very similar stories and experiences with Alice. It's alleged that through stage door interactions and kind of musical theatre workshops, Alice Ripley would develop intense relationships and friendships with fans. Most of the fans were girls under the age of 18 who were queer and all living with mental health issues. There's an abundance of photo evidence of Alice Ripley taking fans backstage with her, taking fans out for dinner, adding them on Facebook and listing them in the family section as her daughters, posting videos to specific fans online, one in lingerie, and so on. The Daily Beast did a great article talking to 4 accusers and detailing their experiences, which I will leave a link to down below, and anything else that I talk about in this video. So after the original TikTok was posted, Alice Ripley released a very short statement to Page 6 where she said, "Recently a claim has been made online against me. There is absolutely no validity to any of it. I appreciate everyone's continued support." That was it. Alice then posted an Instagram photo. She captioned that post, "A piece of trash's attempt to mar my world equals a sad, shameful and discarded cigarette butt. Hashtag failed." She then changed it to say something like "a new world awaits" or a future awaits or something like that, and she privated her Instagram. I do think that speaks volumes on her opinion of the situation and kind of a defensiveness to allude to comparing those people to trash. But anyway, after her original very short statement and her Instagram post, the Daily Beast released this article with more accusers coming forward, and she gave a more in-depth statement to Page 6, which I'll read here. "It is a misinterpretation of my actions to say I manipulated anyone, and more shockingly, that there was abuse. Yet here we are on the slippery slope because terms like grooming are being thrown around. To be accused of this most vile thing, of which I'm innocent, is crushing. Next to Normal, I presume, and theatres were truly safe spaces for people who had been touched by mental illness, and that teen girls flocked to the show for repeat viewings, many of whom imprinted their own mothers onto my character or saw themselves in the daughter." To which I would say, then don't add these girls on Facebook and list them in your family section as your daughter when you're an adult and you're aware of how vulnerable those people are. But I'll go on. Ripley describes her interactions with fans as a quick hello at the stage door or seeing people in my dressing room for a couple of minutes before or after the show, adding that on rare occasions she would have a quick meal with one. It's now clear that a few of these fans had their feelings badly hurt because they received attention and then they felt ghosted by her lack of subsequent regard for them. She continues, "and I truly apologise for that. I never meant to give anything but positive reinforcement, and I'm sorry anyone felt slighted. But grooming," she says, "refers to sexual abuse of a minor, which is the most despicable act imaginable. It implies that I wanted something or asked for something, and that is not true." The thing is that grooming does not always refer to abuse of a minor. It is building a close relationship with somebody underage or in a position of less power than you and using that for your own benefit. Many people have spoken about being in Alice Ripley's kind of fandom, how it was kind of cult-like, of kind of vying for her attention, and I do wonder if it was like an ego boost for her. But whatever the reason, what she did was not okay. Personally, I'm not going to definitively say she was a groomer, she was a or anything like that. That's not my place to say that. I do wholeheartedly believe the accusers, and I think that she has handled this badly. At the end of the day, she was an adult, she was in a position of power. There is clear evidence of her stepping over the line, and it was her job to protect those boundaries as much as possible. I do also have an issue with kind of like, if anyone feels slighted because I ghosted them, it gives off the idea that these people who are coming forward with these stories are just bitter because she gave her attention to someone else other than them, or because she's not still friends with them or something. Which, it does feel very victim blamey, like you just got this whole situation wrong. It does kind of play into this whole idea that it's like she would give people attention and then she'd go on to the next fan to encourage them to give her loads of attention. She'd get validation and adoration from them, and then she'd move on to another fan. So since this has all come out, there's been some very divided opinions within the theatre community. Lots of fans, a very small amount of performers have been sharing similar experiences or in support of the people who've come forward, and then lots of performers have come forward on Alice's side. They've been victim blaming, saying these fans are crazy and unhinged, and that this is a very normal thing, this is normal behaviour, and if these relationships and fan interactions were to stop, it would be a sad thing for the Broadway community. I do have to ask, how many times is this going to happen before there is some kind of safeguarding or protection for both fans and performers to be put in place? James Barber, I've spoken about on this channel before, literally admitted and literally was charged with molesting a minor in his dressing room backstage at a Broadway show. He went, he served time for it, and was then welcomed back into the Broadway community in one of the most popular shows on Broadway in the lead role. And yet that's just been allowed to happen. And the most disgusting thing is I've seen many people talk about that girl who is now, she was 15 at the time, she's now a very successful performer, and I've seen people say, oh well, she's now really successful, so she clearly used that situation to further her career. No, she was 15 years old, he was an adult, he molested her. And the thing is that this isn't a Broadway only issue. It happens in community theatre all across the world, and it happens in the West End as well. Growing up in the theatre fandom, I knew multiple people who had very intense relationships with performers that started out as, oh, they followed me back on Twitter, oh, they're taking me on a backstage tour. I had a friend who was 17 at the time. This all started as she was a big fan of this man. He then went on to have a sexual relationship with her, even though he was married and in his 30s. I've seen fans taking advantage of mentally and physically, and not even physically in a sexual sense, from things like hinting, oh, I'd really like this item, and then fans going and purchasing expensive lavish gifts for their favourite. I actually discussed this whole situation with my friends this weekend, and in the group we all could name at least one person growing up who had very intense, inappropriate and toxic relationships with performers growing up. It wasn't always but it was always inappropriate. We didn't know at the time. At the time growing up, we were like, oh my god, I'm so jealous, that person's so close to that performer that we all love so much. The culture in fandoms is very much trying to one-up each other, to be the best fan, to be the most attentive, to go and see the show the most times, to get the best gifts, to be the one in the spotlight of the performer. And it's things like Alice saying to fans, she would say, when I first met you, the whole world stopped. Or saying, I really struggled to get through that performance, but I saw you in the audience and it helped me get through. To a teenager, when you're a 40-odd-year-old woman, I'm sorry, that's inappropriate. I'm sorry, it's not right. Now, I do understand fans can 100% go too far. I do believe, specifically when dealing with fans who are minors, it is the job of the adult in the position of power to be setting boundaries, not taking fans to dinner. I also understand that it's amazing to be taken backstage at a show, get to see in dressing rooms, get to see behind the magic. I understand. But if an adult is taking someone to their dressing room, there needs to be some kind of guardian present. There has to be. In any other job where there are adults mixing with minors, there are safeguarding procedures put in place. It's things like keeping the door open. No one underage should be alone with an adult unless there is a chaperone or a guardian there. I do believe it is the job of company managers and to some extent performers to be thinking of this and to be making changes and putting things in place for the future. As I say, fans can 100% go too far, but there are ways to handle it. There are particular performers in the industry and people know, oh, their fans are like a cult. Oh, they have very intense relationships with their fans and they have favourite fans. I think when talking about ways to handle this, Carrie Hope Fletcher is a perfect example. Carrie has a massive audience and her fans can for sure be intense. I've witnessed it in real life. I've seen it for myself. However, Carrie always sets boundaries. She does that both in a physical sense at stage door and she also does it online. I am 100% sure that people will try to bathe her in gifts, will send her very intense messages and try to get her attention. But she has a very good blend of having a relationship with her fans but keeping them at an arm's length. I do think that this is somewhat for her own safety, that she knows that, but I think she also knows that she has a young fan base and she has a duty of care to protect them. And I feel like she really treats her position of power with responsibility, and I think that she is a perfect example of somebody doing it right. I do think as well with the growth of social media, companies, company managers and producers and things need to be giving performers some form, even a tiny workshop of social media training. They need to think about maybe having a safeguarding officer around for post and pre-show interactions with fans. I think that there needs to be a place for performers to go or someone to speak to should a situation escalate and they don't know how to deal with it. Because as I say, I understand fans can be very intense and can take things too far. You know, I think that you can send a message to somebody on Instagram, very innocent, very generic, and then that line of communication is open and that person can send you any message. Me personally, in my time online from being on YouTube, I've had messages that are concerning and alarming and I haven't known how to deal with them. I haven't known how to navigate those situations and I've had to learn for myself. I can only imagine how much more intense that would be if you are working on a show that has a very deep connection with people. So, you know, I'm not saying it's all 100% performers' faults. The line is just crossed too many times. Lots of people have called this cancel culture, including Adam Pascal from Rent, whose takes on this have been disappointing to say the very least. This is not cancel culture, this is holding somebody accountable. A 40-year-old woman should know not to take a 13-year-old girl out for dinner and to her dressing room unaccompanied. The accusers haven't called for Alice to be cancelled. They've said, I would like an apology or an acknowledgement of what happened. Alice was the person who cancelled her upcoming 54 Below show. She did that herself. I've also seen some people saying that they were angry that this video was posted on TikTok. I mean, the thing is, nothing specifically illegal happened. It doesn't mean that it was right, and it doesn't mean that it wasn't traumatic for the people who were involved. But when it's not something illegal that has happened, these people aren't going to take it to court. Sometimes you have to take something into your own hands. TikTok is a place where you can have a wide reach and you can get a story out. I think it's completely fine to post things on TikTok. I've also seen people come into Alice's defense saying she was always nice to me, or she's been my friend for 20 years and I've never seen anything like this and she was always nice to me, or whatever. The thing is, a victim will always experience a person differently than you as their friend or their colleague. To her friends who said she wouldn't do this, she's always had crazy unhinged fans, which by the way is a very offensive term. Did you not see her posting pictures with them, tagging them as a family on Facebook, going out for dinner with them, going on trips with them? Because the evidence was all there. It was all on her social media. Were you just ignoring it? or were you complicit? Or did you think she was just being so nice? The problem is that theatre is a solid place. It feels like home, it feels exciting and comforting all at the same time. There's a very direct access to people who you watch in a show, telling these amazing stories that you connect to on a really deep level. And it's so easy for situations and relationships to escalate rapidly and to go wrong. And I truly believe that something needs to be done. I would be really interested to know what people think about this. What do you think can be done to help performers in this situation? What do you think can be done to help fans in this situation and to protect vulnerable people from being taken advantage of? I know this has been a very heavy topic to come back with. I hope that you enjoyed this video in some way, and I'd be really interested to hear what you think. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you soon, and I love you lots. Bye.